Hi, I'm Zealan Turner. I'm the Director of School Communications here at PALCS. I'm sitting here in the studio with Sharon Sedlar, the founder of Pennsylvania Families for Education Choice. Hey Sharon, how you doing?
I'm good. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. And we are here on
Winging It.
That was good.
We did it!
Yeah.
You got your ending?
Yeah.
You got that too.
So, just talking about the school choice conversation, school choice has been a major topic in national and state conversations, but much of the discussion focuses on tuition funding for private schools and homeschool networks. And cyber charter schools, like PALCS, are offering a publicly funded, highly effective alternative that's often overlooked or just kind of, yes, you're over here on the side. So we're here to change that and make sure that cyber charter schools are also part of this very important conversation. Sharon, as a parent whose children have benefited from a number of different school choice options, what are your thoughts on how cyber schools fit into the broader conversation of the school choice movement?
We need as many special options as special children. And I think we can all agree that every single unique child is special. They are a treasure. They are critical to, the future of Pennsylvania, the future of the world. But they're our heart. Mm-hmm. There is nothing we wouldn't do for our children. And so at the heart of the school choice movement isn't necessarily...
I know, you got me there.
And so now you're going to make me cry. But at the heart of the school choice movement really is parent agency. We know them best. So like with my child, we know what snacks they want. We know when they walk in that door at the end of that school day, if they've had a good day, a bad day, if something's bothering them. We see what they're like when they go to bed, when they get up in the morning. We see how they react to different situations. Every child is different. Every family is different. And because we are uniquely equipped to know that child so well, it is firmly within our rights to determine what education option is best for that child. We know that child is safe, taken care of, being fostered in an environment that we agree with. And that's why we need a variety of options. That's why district doesn't work for everybody. That's not to say some district programs don't do an amazing job or district schools don't do an amazing job. For those kids, it serves adequately. But no one option is ever going to serve 1.7 million children in Pennsylvania adequately. Mm-hmm. And so when you have these children and they are developing and they are growing and you need to make sure that they feel safe and secure and have all of those basic needs met so they can learn, so they can build through their lives, it's the parents who are at ground zero, and it's the parents who should be able to make that decision. And if that's district, that's great. And if that's charter, brick and mortar, or cyber, that's great. If it is due to academic needs, psychological needs, emotional needs, if it is due to athletic schedules, if it is due to homelessness, whatever the reason is, we're the ones who are best equipped to decide that.
Sharon, you are the founder of Pennsylvania Families for Education Choice. Do we sometimes call that PA Families for Ed Choice? That's cute. That's easy to say.
I call it PA Families. I call it PAFEC.
Okay. I like that. And your organization has been a leading advocate for school choice in Pennsylvania. We are proud to stand alongside you and other choice advocates at the Harrisburg School Choice Rally. Some of our students were singing and dancing. We had one student speak. From your experience, what are the biggest challenges families face when trying to access the right educational fit for their children?
It's information. They do not have the information provided to them as to what the options are in accessing options for their children. Mm-hmm. So what is an amazing thing about public charter is that it's public. It's a public school, whether it's cyber or a brick and mortar charter, and it affords those opportunities. But how many families know about it? Mm-hmm. Not many. Let's say the district program is a cyber program, but your daughter or your son cannot any longer associate with that district, as happened in my personal situation. That's why cyber charter outside of district as an option is so important, because those kids can still receive the public education to which they're entitled in Pennsylvania. They don't have to go into a building if they can't, or maybe their family work extracurricular schedule requires that flexibility. Cyber charter is an amazing alternative for those parents, but they don't have the information to make those decisions. Mm-hmm. So my organization does exactly that. We broadcast the good news that is school choice in mm-hmm. all its various formats, including home education, but that's a story for another day, so that parents feel informed, advised, compelled to explore their options. Maybe a secondary, most important part of the work that we do mm-hmm. is making sure those families feel like they have support and community, mm-hmm. and they're not weird or their kid isn't weird for looking for something different. They're kids, and we need to be able to satisfy all of their needs in education. So providing parents with that needed information so they can make those appropriate decisions, so that they have the community and support they so desperately crave, so they understand that it's okay not to do what we've always done. Mm-hmm. Those are important aspects of the work that we do.
I have heard in the conversation that local school district schools are not adequate or doing a good enough job, but is that even really the most necessary part of this conversation? Is it not just, does it work for you? Mm-hmm. Is your child thriving in that environment? Because aren't they all different? And do we need to really put a grade on any particular choice as long as we have a choice?
Yeah, and that's a thing. Like, for some parents, it's the health and safety a right of their child. If their child is going to a school where they feel unsafe or they are unsafe, then they need to be able to have a different option. That's not related to academics. That's not related to any of the other factors. So for some it's safety. For some it is academics. And Pennsylvania Leadership Charter School has the University Scholars Program, mm-hmm. which some of my children participated in. And it's amazing for those kids who need more depth to their education, mm-hmm. who are considered to be gifted, in my opinion, right? So you have the University Scholars Program. There are other programs that have honors classes, that have college prep classes, whatever, but it meets the kids and it meets their needs where they are.
It's a choice.
It's a choice. And so that's what we need. It's parent agency, it's choice, and it's what suits the children.
Right. So let's just bring this back into the governor's current budget proposal of cyber charter tuition rates and the funding concerns there. A major issue facing cyber charter schools right now is the governor's proposed statewide base cyber tuition rate of $8,000 per student per year, a rate that is far below what is needed to provide a high-quality, professionally developed, state standards-aligned K-12 education. Every student, no matter where they learn, deserves the same investment in their education. So I'm asking you, how can families and advocates push for fair funding to ensure that cyber charter schools remain a strong, viable school choice?
When the charter law was enacted, 25 years ago at this point, charter schools were viewed as saving kids. They were necessary because the kids needed something different. So yes, times have changed, things have morphed, but now we're at a place where they're saying, oh, wait a minute. Let's go back and make sure we throw all of this money at a district system that didn't provide adequate services for the kids 25 years ago. That's why we have charters. But now let's perhaps short circuit the existing options like cyber charter that we have and force those kids back into the district. That makes no sense to me.
None.
So when we talk about the funding levels, right? Originally, the charter school law was written in such a way that it was what that child was, let's call it, allocated in the district, right? There's a big, long, fair funding formula based on the demographic factors, the local factors, ability to raise taxes, the needs of that community. That's what all goes into that funding formula. So a dollar amount comes out. So what happens is they take that amount at the district level. There's a PDE 363 form, right, that the district says, okay, well, we can take out these items legally permitted, right? And then the charter school is going to get the remaining amount, what they're eligible for that student's education.
What are we talking? Maybe 80 cents to the dollar?
73.
73.
Not to be exact or anything. Approximately 73 cents on the dollar.
Cute.
Now, it kind of makes sense because there are federal programs, transportation programs. There are some things that are specifically district-oriented that are not provided necessarily by charter schools. That being said, there are some things within charter schools, and particularly cyber charter schools, that are required that are outside of that traditional district model. Let's say the average student in Pennsylvania is just shy of $23,000, the average, right? Some areas, kids are getting as much as $32,000 per child, and I forget if that's Philly or Pittsburgh. It's one or the other. The other one is $28,000 per kid. It can go as low as like $10,000, I think maybe even $9,000. For total per student funding based on that formula. That PD 363 form comes in, you get 73 cents on the dollar for the charter school. The average for that, last I heard, was approximately, I want to say $14,000, $15,000 per student.
I was going to say, I think about 15.
Right? And you're already discounting it. So now it's $15,000. So now cyber charters and charter schools are educating children at a lower rate, 73 cents on the dollar. So you have district cyber programs, specifically, since we're talking about cyber, where they say we can educate that child for $5,000. We can educate that child for $3,000. So that cost doesn't include staff. It doesn't include benefits. It doesn't include warehousing facilities that are mandated by the charter school law. It doesn't include employee space. It doesn't include family centers to pick up your equipment. And I said, well, wait a minute. That's curriculum, right? That doesn't include the computer, does it? That doesn't include internet reimbursement. Doesn't include any of that. And they go, well,
Professional development, student services.
They said those costs are already baked in.
They're
already baked into the district budget. Therefore, they're only considering the additional costs for the cyber program. Okay. So that number, straight out of the gate, is not an accurate number. It was Representative Josh Kale from Beaver County. Hey, my neck of the woods. Then you talk about Representative Charity Grimm-Krupa. She's also from my neck of the woods, so hey to her too. And then you have Representative Brian Cutler. Not sure where he's from, but we love him as well. And so they asked some of these hard questions, and they said, how did you arrive at the rate? Well, what do you do if your child can't go to district school? What do you do if your child can't do private education or can't go to brick and mortar? And they really asked those questions. So I really appreciated the fact that they brought that information to the forefront and said, how did you arrive at this rate? They're looking at the numbers. They're worried about the details. They're worried about the data. So I would just encourage all others concerned to look at data as well. And if you can't explain it, then we have some work to do. And I think that Representative Kale, Cutler, and Grupa are primed and ready to be able to do that and have those conversations.
Well, let's talk a little bit about misconceptions, myths, truths. Let's find our way through this. One common misconception is that cyber charter schools are less rigorous than brick and mortar schools, when in reality we have state certified teachers, structured curriculum reviews, and accountability measures, just like traditional schools, that we're accountable to all kinds of state standards, everything. We are a public school, so we adhere to all of the guidelines and we look to exceed them, right? So Another misconception is that cyber schools take money away from public schools. We talked about that. 73 cents on the dollar is what cyber schools are getting. And in reality, we are a public school and part of that public school system. So just talking about a few misconceptions, but what are the biggest myths you encounter about cyber charter schools, and how can we change that narrative?
So when you talk about defunding of district education, that's simply not true, because the district is still receiving funding for students they don't have, for services the students don't receive. PSSA rates are low, their proficiency rates are low. That's true. It's true. Because of the formula they use to rate the proficiency grade, right? 95% participation rate for PSSAs, right? Well, parents who choose cyber charter a lot of times are doing so because their child needs something different. And for a lot of students, they can't handle that PSSA environment, or the parents don't believe in standardized testing. They're like, no, I don't need a standardized test to tell me how my child is doing. And my child's going to be, let's say, freaked out, or my child doesn't know these other kids, or we don't want to travel, or we can't travel, or we have athletics. All the reasons why you're in cyber charter in the first place. Mm-hmm. And by law, we're allowed to exempt our children out of standardized testing. The problem with that, though, is, first of all, it doesn't show the true colors of the school when you only have some students come. The cyber charter school gets dinged for low participation rate. So if you don't have 95% participation, ding, 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 and next thing you know, you're showing
federal funding.
Yeah, you're showing that you're
low test scores.
Low test scores, and then you have legislators who are saying, "Look at this, are we getting our money's worth?" Well, you are if you talk to the parents whose kids' lives were literally saved by cyber charter education. And for those parents, it's not about that test. It's not about somebody else telling you your kid is okay. It's about you knowing your kid is okay. It's about your kid sleeping through the night. It's about your kid being able to eat their meals. It's about your kid being able to enjoy life. It's about them having a life. That's what cyber charter is about. So it's so much more than testing, and it's so much more than ticking off that little "you must." We just want our kids to be kids. And we want to know that we've provided them with the kind of life that any child would want. And yes, education's an important part of that for their future, right? But they're not going to be able to learn if they're not in the right educational environment. I remember all that time that my daughter, when she was in district education, the last year that, we had to leave because she couldn't do it anymore. And I remember her being curled up in a ball. And I remember her sleeping with me, on me, as a 7-year-old. And I remember having to be in the position where I was like, you have to go to school, honey, because if you don't go to school, mommy's going to get in trouble. And I could just see myself in front of the judge because of truancy threats that I was receiving, because the school couldn't provide for my child in the way that she needed. I didn't care about her grades. I cared that she could function. I cared that she could be a child. I cared that she felt secure. And so that's why school choice is so important.
If they don't have a positive relationship with education in general, where is that going to put them? Where are they going to go? They're going to veer off and they're going to avoid it, right? So I started taking my 1-year-old who has 4 teeth to the dentist because I wanted to start bringing her to have a positive experience so that, hey, she would continue to go to the dentist and get her teeth checked and avoid, too many problems and just create a positive experience from the jump. And with education, is that not that, but like exponentially so, because we need to learn and grow through our entire lives.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think what you have done and continue to do for your own children and for all the many children of Pennsylvania is let's continue to make sure that you have choices when you look at your educational options so that you can have a positive relationship with education, with learning, with growing, and thrive.
So if you have a child who, let's say they have a reading difficulty, right? And because of that reading difficulty, so that's point 3, then they're bullied. Then there's emotional situations, right? So let's stack that potential up one against the other. By the time you're done, that child could have, because of those negative experiences related to their previous education environment, they're coming into cyber charter or charter or whatever other school option, potentially at, I don't know, a grade, 2 grades behind. And a lot of parents that bring their kids into cyber charter do so because they have been failed in some way by their previous education option. It's not like we're going right into education like, kindergarten, first grade, although some do. Good for you. That's great. You're making that choice straight out of the gate. But a lot of us are forced into it. And our kids are forced into it, and they are coming into it with issues, special education, reading, anxiety. They need a 504 that the district wouldn't give them, that PALCS was willing to do so because they recognized that I knew my child best and that she needed special allowances. And that's the other thing about the cyber charter program specifically here and others that I've experienced. The counseling staff is really engaged. The administration is really engaged because everything is cyber. We have an ability to shoot off an email and get a response fairly quickly. Maybe the parent is expecting too much of the system. But if they're expecting too much of the system, how come the cyber charters are so more capable and willing to address needs in special education for these students, 504 plans, anxiety, all of that? That speaks to the fact that the district system can't provide for every child. Every child is unique, special, and different. So we need an option to suit the child and not put that child in that box that is district education. For those kids who are in district education, they're taking from them to give to them. Well, how about we just give everybody what they should be getting? How about we evaluate what they all need and fund them as appropriate? And how about we give every parent the same right to pursue what they know is in the best interest of their child? Pennsylvania Families for Education Choice routinely has virtual events. We're actually expanding them. We added a podcast. We have live Zooms. We have a one-on-one parent help every Monday, live open meeting. I found out how teachers use a waiting room and have like special help tutoring and stuff because I had to. I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like the cyber teacher is like, I know how to do this now. But we have an open room that parents can just walk in and get help anytime they need it. So we're doing that, and that's virtual. So you can access it at any time. But we also have events in Harrisburg. So people who feel strongly about any issue, whether it's cyber charter, education, potholes in your street, zoning regulations, whatever the case may be, but you have to talk to your legislators and you have to talk to them within your district. You as a constituent vote for them. Right? So if you feel strongly about something, and that's positive or negative, we got to tell them what they're doing right too, right? Then you have to go to them and say, hey, I really agree with this, or I don't agree with that. And you have to have those conversations with them so they know what you want. They put pants on one leg at a time, just like us. And I would challenge any of them that don't. To very modestly demonstrate that.
I don't know. I've got 20 minutes in the morning. I'm trying to get faster, so.
I know, right? It's like you put them on at the same time, you kick your feet.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But they are human beings just like us. They are grandparents, they are parents, they are community members. They care about kids too. They just have a different way sometimes of looking at it. So reaching out to your district educator, there's a tool on our website, Google PA Find Your Legislator. It comes up, you put in your address, boom, it tells you exactly who's in your area, statewide and federal. Meet with your district legislators. But that's really easy for some people to say, oh, okay, good, there's no cameras. There's nothing they have to say. There's nothing they have to necessarily do. You have to follow up with them, and that's great. There's a lot of legislators who are on our side. So thank you, legislators who are protecting parent agency and children's rights in education. We love you, and we're watching you, and we're supporting you. You also have to make a stink. You do. You have to be loud. And I don't know if anybody notices about me or not, but I am the perfect person to do it. So I take a bunch of parents to Harrisburg, and we go on the Capitol steps, and we go through the hallways, and we ask to speak with legislators, and we hand them a flyer, and we have, National School Choice Week school fairs, and we have rallies. And by the way, May 6th, we're having a rally on the Harrisburg steps. 1,000 kids. We're bringing them to the Capitol, so mark your calendars for that. But that's going to be a big, huge, amazing event where we're going to have teachers, we're going to have students, we're going to have parents, and we're going to celebrate all that is good in K-12 education, and we're going to represent for school choice. So sending an email to your legislator, great thing to do. Providing a quote to your school or to us so that we can, and we don't have to identify you. We are completely fine with you being anonymous, using your initials, using your first name and your county. Doesn't matter, just saying what's important to you and encouraging others to keep up the fight. Those are really important things. And you can do an op-ed in your local newspaper. Legislators love, depending on the op-ed, they love when they're mentioned in their local newspaper because thousands upon thousands of people read how you feel about what they're doing. And they're only 100 or 200 words. That comes very easily and very quickly, and it gets printed in your local paper, and then it gets some attention so that other people don't feel alone, so that they know, hey, there's other people just like me that feel the same way that I do.
So looking ahead, what are the next big challenges and opportunities in the school choice movement? You talked about May. You talked about a rally. That's an opportunity. What challenges are we really looking to put at the forefront here?
I would encourage everyone to reach out to whomever you like, just so that word gets out that you want to protect your child's right and option in cyber charter education. We need to talk about, Lifeline scholarships in Pennsylvania. That would be an appropriated amount outside of the basic education fund, so it wouldn't touch district funding, where students would receive $5,000 in K through 8, $10,000 if they qualify. There are income limits. $10,000 for high school, $15,000 if you're special education, in special education programs. So Lifeline scholarships is something people are trying to bring through to help those kids in those districts that when I say districts, I'm talking about zip code boundaries that really need it. Education savings accounts, education freedom accounts, opportunity accounts, that's what you hear about a lot for Florida and Arizona and a lot of other states. A lot of times they start as small and targeted, whether it be income or special education related. And then over the course of a decade or two, they broaden and expand and become more universal. There are universal ESAs that came into fruition. West Virginia passed a universal ESA a couple of years ago. It did not destroy their district education system. And as a matter of fact, they're increasing its capabilities because they saw that it wasn't a threat. So they were able to do that. So ESAs is an important thing. There's also a federal Educational Choice for Children Act that's being discussed and for which I testified at the Ways and Means committee a couple of years ago. Yeah, I testified before Congress. It was amazing. And Mike Kelly from I think he's Butler, legislator, he was there. He let me speak first because I'm from his neck of the woods. So he was Go Steelers all the way. So it was really great to be there for that. But there are positive actions being undertaken from a federal perspective because honestly, if states aren't going to get in line to provide these kids with choice, then perhaps a federal program is something that could help in the meantime until we get our act together here in Pennsylvania. So there's a lot of really exciting things on the horizon that we can look forward to as a state in terms of school choice.
fight a bear or a swarm of ferrets? You gotta tell me why.
A bear, yeah, because I don't know. I just have images of hugging.
You hug the bear?
Right? I have a mama bear tattoo here.
You do, it's gorgeous.
And my one daughter got a little baby bear on her hip because she's my baby bear. So I love the bear. And anytime you see my stuff on social media, it's either like a lioness with a cub or it's a mama bear with a baby bear. So
Would you rather be a superhero or a wizard?
I want to say wizard, but I really like the cape. So, no, I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like wizards have like that, could have like that cape situation with the hood.
I'm seeing Harry Potter.
That's a cloak. That's a cloak.
No, I'd rather be a superhero.
A superhero? What
would
kind?
rather.
What's your superpower?
You know what? What was Scarlett Johansson? What was that character?
Black
Widow. Yeah.
What was her superpower though? Because I was just like fierce.
She was like a ninja. Fierce ninja.
Okay,
Yeah.
fierce ninja.
There we go.
No pizza parties or no birthday cakes?
I could give up the birthday cakes all day long, but don't take my pizza.
Because you don't like because you don't like cake, or you don't like the whole birthday cake situation?
I need pizza.
Okay. Okay. That's fair.
And it's got to have salty, squeaky cheese.
10 minutes late or 20 minutes early?
Oh, 20 minutes early.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't need 20 minutes of their life back? If I'm 20 minutes early, like, that is a free 20 minutes that I now have back in my life to do all the things.
All the things.
All the things.
Because we can do all the things in 20 minutes. We're moms.
Yes, including getting into our pants 2 feet first. Would you rather be mouse-sized or elephant-sized forever?
Elephant.
Elephant?
I'm on a roll.
Yeah. You could probably get places faster. But if you were mouse-sized, then you automatically live in a mansion and have enough food for like a year.
And only live a year.
She's right. That's rude.
I mean, elephants live like a heinous long time. And you've got the mom clutch. I mean, my gosh. It's like built-in babysitting.
Whisper or shout all the time?
I wish I could whisper. I wish people around me would whisper. But you can all tell that ain't happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
is it a reality or a wish? If it's a wish, yeah, I wish whispering was feasible, but it is not.
It also sounds cool in a microphone.
Does it? Oh, you're right.
Everything sounds cooler in a microphone, I'm telling you. Thank you for your time and for the incredible work that Pennsylvania Families for Education Choice, PA Families for Ed Choice,
PAFAC.
Yes, I'm here for all the acronyms. Education loves acronyms.
Really? I never noticed that. Yeah, PSSA, CD.
Everything. And we just appreciate but deeply need everything your organization is doing, everything you are doing. We'll keep the conversation going, but for our listeners, if you support school choice, including strong, well-funded cyber charter schools, stay informed, right? Contact your legislators and help us ensure that every student in Pennsylvania has access to the best possible education for their needs.
Absolutely. Always follow your instincts. As a parent, always follow your gut and be informed.